I have asked to be referred to as an accidental actor. I have just stumbled into it, though acting and theatre has always been my priority, but I never got there directly. As far as I can remember, at the age of 5, I played Krishna. My sari opened up on stage, and the curtain came down, and minutes later, when it was opened, the applause that went up, I was hooked on that applause. It never deterred me. I never felt nervous and said I'll never appear on stage again. I loved it, and I've been on stage ever since. Maybe not as an actor, but my journey to the theatre and acting has come through debates, through declamation, elocution, and right from the age of 6 and 7. I can recall that I have a 97-year-old Marcy who came every summer holiday. She was a teacher in a school, and she came every summer holiday to whichever Air Force camp we were in. My father was in the Air Force. And after the initial hugs and kisses and exchanging family gossip, she insisted that we spend 1 hour in the evening learning to recite something or the other. And she taught us Psalm 23, "The Lord is my shepherd." She taught us Rabindranath Tagore's "Where the mind is without fear and the head is held high." And because of her, we got acquainted with Prem Chand and Subhadra Kumari Chauhan. And she introduced us to a whole different world. And I can't say that we loved having to be disciplined that way, but it opened up our minds to so much. And from there, I went on to always love performing, being the center of attention, and that taught me clarity, diction, attention getting. It's been a wonderful journey for me. Through that, you see, I have always studied in English-speaking schools, so I can't communicate to you and tell you of all the great scriptures and mythologies that most other people have talked about. I was brought up in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs and Midsummer Night's Dream. When we did Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, I wanted to play Snow White, but I only got to play the dwarf. But that didn't deter me from not acting ever again. And it taught me to accept that no matter what, it is the bonding that goes on, it is the trying that spurs you on in life. And much later, right through my school and college, I did numerous plays, and I worked with a lot of directors. I think I must have had about 20 different directors in my lifetime. You know, when I was growing up, the only form of entertainment for us was radio. And I used to be glued every Monday night to hear Hamid Sayani in Bonvita Quiz Contest, or Praminda Premchand doing A Date with You every Friday night, and Melville DeMello, who was the voice of India at the time. He used to do all the national parades and the Republic Day parade, etc. Now those are the voices and accents that rang in my ear forever. And it was that which made me try and emulate them. And then when I was 15, 16 years old and I appeared for an audition for All India Radio, that's what got me hooked onto being a commentator or a broadcaster. And I learned diction, I learned clarity, I learned enunciation, I learned pronunciation. And I've never looked back. For those of you who have followed my career and know who I am, perhaps will be aware of that being more prominent in my career than acting, though latterly I am known as an actress. When I was in school, I acted in a play called The Pied Piper of Hamelin Town. It was about a rat catcher hired by the town to lure rats away with his magic pipe. And then Gilbert and Sullivan's The Mikado, who was the emperor of Japan, and his son fell in love with a village girl, and he becomes a wandering minstrel. And in that, I shuffled around on stage as Piti Singh playing a Japanese. In Charlie's Aunt, I played Ella Delahaye. Now, the reason I'm mentioning all these is these are what have made me and given me the basic grounding and training of what I eventually became. As Ella Delahaye, which is a farce about an elderly fortune hunter. And it was the familiarity with Charlie's Aunt that got me all excited when Geoffrey Kendall of the Shakespeareana Company came to Kanpur, which is where my father was posted at that time, and they did Charlie's Aunt, and I was thrilled. I began to then want to be in the professional theatre. But my passion remained dormant for lack of opportunities in small towns. That's where I became aware of the bonds of friendship and family and intellectual stimulation. It introduced me to new ideas and to humanity. My involvement in debates and declamation took me to the All India Youth Festivals in Delhi and the prestigious All India Declamation Contest of the Indian Military Academy in Dehradun. The stage had been set, and my most consistent careers in radio, television, journalism, public relations, film and theatre critic and casting took off, and I've never looked back. Why? Because it got me friends, family, camaraderie, commitment, and most of all, confidence. When I landed in London in 1965 and worked for the BBC, the people that I collected around me and the people that I made friends with were the South Asian community of actors in London. That's where I was welcomed by Zora Sehgal, Rani Dubey, Saeed Jafri. These have all become names that I'm sure many of you recognize. They introduced me to various ideas. They produced intellectual stimulation and opened up a whole avenue of human emotions, making one understand human beings better. The skills I learned in theatre, I could apply to other places of interest, like my NGO work with the underprivileged women and children, to bring out their feelings and their emotions and their stories. And these are very important to get on in life and to learn from life and from people, whether it's school, college, no matter how old, young, what color, what religion, these are qualities which make you into a good human being. I've worked with some of the best known directors, and each of them has contributed to my growth. Each one of them had their own methods of teaching and their own style of directing. Of course, I felt most comfortable with Alec Padamsee and his autocratic way of directing, but I needed that at the time. When I played Stella Kowalski in A Streetcar Named Desire, he showed me how to walk, how to talk, how to pause, where to smile, where to cross my legs, when to flick the ash from the cigarette. And I got so dependent on that when I was thrown into the Adi Marzban freewheeling camp of theatre, the second day he said, "Come with your learnt by heart tomorrow," I nearly died. I was nervous and trembling, and I got home and I cried. With Alec, you never had to mug your lines. You read the script over and over again, and each character, each line was interpreted so that you could understand it better and make it your own. And we were told to make notes alongside the speech, alongside the dialogue that you were to deliver. With Adi, he allowed you to be on your own, use your own comfort level, and grow into the part. But what actors he's produced. It's a pity that many of you may not have seen them, but my God, they were people that I wanted to be, but I never could. And then I moved on to work with others, like Janak Toprani, Zubin Driver, Vikram Kapadia, Jiten Merchant, Dinesh Thakur, Arya Lahiri, and Kwasar Thakur Padamsi. I had graduated to being an experienced actor, but each was a huge learning experience. In one instant, we went on, I'm ashamed to say, went on stage on opening night without having rehearsed the Act 3. But it's a disaster that I'd like to forget, and I hope that is never repeated again. Janak Toprani taught me the script of David Coppitt's Wings, and I had to learn pages of gibberish. It was about an aeronaut who crashes and loses the power of coordinating the message sent by the brain to the tongue. And so what she utters is utter garbage. But what an experience that was. I had been credited with having an elephantine memory when I was a newscaster, where there were no teleprompters and I could pick up 10 to 15 words at the blink of an eye and recite them, and I knew the names of all the ministers and the constituencies that they represented and the votes they won by, and so it was very comfortable for me reading the news, and I think I remembered largely for that. But this facility came from learning scripts, and as a senior actor, that is what kept me going. But soon that power began to fade. I realized my handicap when Zubin Driver gave me a 20-minute soliloquy for Sakti in 2013. I naturally hesitated, but he was one director who accepted the challenge and helped me learn my lines by driving every day from Powai to Pedder Road, which is where I live, and to spend some 90 minutes till I had mastered my lines for opening night at the Experimental Theatre. You know, and these are experiences that you can never forget, and these are experiences with people who teach you so much. They never give up, and that is what theatre has taught me, never to give up. So whether I've been successful or not, whatever people might have said, I have persevered and got to where I am because of that. One thing I'd like to share with you listeners is that I've never had to stretch my hand to ask for anything. All the projects, all the assignments came my way because I had established a reputation for being perhaps hardworking, being cooperative, and that's how I've got on in my theatre career also. And of course there was All My Sons by Arthur Miller, directed by my son, and I was over the moon. But I was the most senior actor and set and molded in a certain discipline. Rehearsals for us used to be from 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock, but the work ethic of the young people had changed. Their work didn't end at 5 o'clock, and so it went on till about 8 o'clock. So rehearsals began at 8:39, and by that time I would be tired and frustrated and exasperated and dying to go to sleep. But they worked. They were still bursting with energy to do warm-ups and vocal exercises. So naturally we clashed. But I worked with Arya Lahiri, who directed me as the 60-year-old Meg in Harold Pinter's The Birthday Party. And what a joy that was. His understanding and patience got the best out of me. I had played the 26-year-old sexy Lulu in Alec's production when I was that age, but had longed to play Meg, and I felt very privileged that Alia asked me to play Meg opposite young Akash Khurana as Stanley. And since I'm indulging in flashback, I'd like to mention Death of a Salesman, my most favorite and my most favorite part and play. I played Linda Lohman. When Alec directed me in 1981, I was 38. And this was during the filming of Gandhi, when I would fly to Mumbai for a weekend show and fly back. But such was the luxury and understanding provided by the director, Sir Richard Attenborough, himself a theatre actor, and I was his casting director. Makeup for wrinkles and white shoe polish for grey hair and the shabby, shapeless clothes helped me communicate the tragedy of this loyal, caring, trusting, patient wife of Willie Loman. And almost 40 years later, I did the Requiem with genuine emotions at the tribute to Alec, staged at the Tata Theatre, minus makeup and with natural grey hair. As an actor, the roles I have most enjoyed are those that go into the minds of the persecuted and the downtrodden. Never close your mind or limit yourself to any one discipline of art, be it song, dance, music, or acting. Vijay Tendulkar's Vultures, Gidhare, introduced me to a different culture. I loved playing Mansi, but I have enjoyed learning about different cultures. Working with Dinesh Thakur in Tum Kya Jano Preet, which was an adaptation of My Fair Lady or Pygmalion, was a hugely different experience. It was the first commercial play in Hindi that I had worked in. I played a Lucknowi Begum who smokes throughout the play. And as it happened, I had given up smoking 6 years earlier. And I knew that this was going to be my self-destruction. But Dinesh insisted, and one should always obey the director. I'm happy to relate that the play ran for more than 4 years and I never got hooked onto smoking again. Being an English theatre actor, I have had the opportunities of working in both English and Hindi. As a theatre critic, I got the opportunity to see plays in every language: Marathi, Gujarati, Kannada, Bengali, Urdu, Hindi, Tamil, Malayalam, Manipuri, and met all the great playwrights and directors, and also the gurus and dancers of every discipline of classical Indian dance at various cultural theatre festivals all over India. And I owe this to my friend Protima Gauri Bedi. And I am the richer for it as an artist and actor. Working with different directors has had a huge impact on me. Mahendra Joshi, the best in his time, cast me in Ek Shaf opposite Shafi Inamdar in Hindi in the role of the magistrate. The same role I had done for Varun Khanna when he directed Equus. I have also tried my hand at directing and enjoyed the visual enactment of Meher Pestunji's Feeding Crows, a very contemporary play about the clash of two cultures in Bombay's cosmopolitan colonies. One non-vegetarian Parsi and a vegetarian Gujarati living in the same colony. what a challenge it was to direct again a visual enactment of Ratnakar Matkari's One Safdarjung Road about the emergency. And at that time, the emergency was almost a fading thing, but he wrote the play and we were commemorating the anniversary of the emergency at the Press Club of India. And I had English theatre actors playing Indira Gandhi, Sonia Gandhi, Rajiv Gandhi, Maneka Gandhi, Pupul Jaikar, R.K. Dhawan, Sharda Prasad, and many others who formed the inner coterie between 12th June 1975 and 31st October 1984. We crib about lack of auditoriums and places to rehearse in. When I was in Delhi in 1962, Joy Michael of the Little Theatre directed me in Rabindranath Tagore's Malini, which we performed in her veranda of her Sundarnagar flat, seated in the veranda with some 25 members of the audience in the garden below. All rehearsals of plays I've been involved with in Bombay have been held in my tiny flat where I'm sitting right now in Pedder Road, using the divan, which you can't see at the moment, but as a stage. And even Zora Sehgal performed her Abhi To Main Jawan Hoon in my little 4x15 balcony before an audience of some 30 from the Prithviraj Kapoor theatre days, with my 8-year-old son playing the lighting director, or engineer if you'd like to call it. Nothing should deter theatre lovers and actors from pursuing their passion. I hope my journey has inspired you, but the most important and the longest running play of my theatre journey has been Eve Ensler's The Vagina Monologue, now in its 20th year. And even today, it lives up to its claim. After seeing the play, no man or woman will ever be the same again. Each of the monologues deals with an aspect of the feminine experience, touching on matters such as sex, sex work, body image, love, rape, menstruation, female genital mutilation, masturbation, birth, orgasm, the various common names for the vagina, or the abusive names for the vagina, or simply as a physical aspect of the body. It has been running houseful because it has an age limit of 15 years of age. And every year there is a whole new generation being added with more liberal minds than those that existed 20 years ago. And the biggest compliment that I have ever received was from an 80-year-old plus man stepping onto the stage at the famous Prithvi Theatre in Juhu, in Mumbai, on opening night, and touching my feet, saying that he is grateful that this kind of play can be seen in his lifetime in India. My advice and lesson to all listeners is never say die. The world is yours. Be passionate about learning and every experience. Clarity, audibility, focus on light, use of microphone come in handy, and automatically to a sensitive actor, and these help in any profession you may wish to pursue. And today, theatre has opened up avenues of communication and corporate communications where a lot of young actors are earning a livelihood in corporate companies. So don't shy away from theatre. Don't think that we are wasting our time. There is a lot that has been learnt and that you can impart to other people. All of you that have been watching, I hope that you've learned something from this. I'm not a trainer. though I have trained students in various colleges and schools in speech and drama, but it's not an officially trained thing. I've never made my money from drama. I have made it on other professional aspects that I've pursued, like being a critic, like being a PR person, in my casting, for instance. I hope that all of you have absorbed something from this. Thank you very much for watching.